welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. Today we're going to pick up on our holiday baking that we started the other day. If you missed my last video, on Saturday we did a bunch of holiday baking. We did some spiced pecans, puppy chow, fudge, meringue cookies, and some dipped pretzels. We also started our fudge cookies, and we made some sugar cookies that we rolled out into holiday shapes. So today we are going to move on with our fudge cookies and do the next step. So I've got the dough that's been sitting in the refrigerator, and I've got a bowl here. I'm just going to pour some powdered sugar in here. This is some of the powdered sugar that we made. Actually going to swap my bowls. So I've got my cookie trays here. I've got my oven set preheating at 350. What we're going to do is scoop up some of this fudge cookie dough or this brownie cookie dough we're going to scoop up a ball, roll it into a ball, and then we're going to drop it in our powdered sugar, cover it with the powdered sugar, and then put it on our baking sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 trays worth of these and get them in the oven, and then start working on the next 2. And so if you watch the last video, you can see why we need to chill this dough, because it was runny. Not as runny as brownie mix, but it was definitely too runny to scoop into a ball until you've chilled it. I usually do 6 at a time. I make up 6 little dough balls, and then I put them in. Then I cover them with the powdered sugar and put them on my tray. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm using a scoop that I bought for my grandkids. So this is maybe like a 1 1/4 inch scoop. My other set I have a 1, a 2, and a 3. And I think I normally use the 1, but this 1 1/4 is perfect. And actually you could make them any size that you want, but the 1 or 1 1/4 is going to be your best bet, because you don't want your cookies to be too big, because what we're going to do after they bake is I've got some of these peppermint kisses, and I'm going to put them on there just like you would do the peanut butter blossoms. And then you've got your brownie cookie with the peppermint candy on top, and it's delicious. Alright, so there's the first tray. I'm going to set those over to the side here. And I'm going to fill the next one. Alright, I've got my first 2 trays ready to go, and I'm going to put those in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. Alright, and while those are baking, I am going to go ahead and fill my other 2 trays with cookies. By covering these with powdered sugar before you bake them, it gives them kind of a crackle effect once they're baked. So they look really cool, they taste great, they look really pretty. And then when you put that candy on the top, it makes them look very festive. So then while those are baking, I start unwrapping my candies. And I try and make sure that I stay ahead of my cookies, so I want to put at least 48 unwrapped in here before my cookies are done, if I can. Alright, so there are 48 candies in here. and my oven is just about to go off. So I'm gonna go ahead and let those cook 2 more minutes, and I'll just keep unwrapping candies while they finish. So I've got enough candies either unwrapped or counted out for 8 dozen. That's about what our dough should make. And then if I need more, as I get towards the end, I can unwrap those. So here is what these look like when you take them out of the oven. So you want to let your cookies cool just a little bit when you take them out of the oven before you put the candies in, so they don't melt all the way through the cookie. So I'll give that about a minute or so, and then I'll start putting candies on them. So you're going to do these the same way as you do your peanut butter blossoms. So I'm just going to take my candy and just push it right down there in the middle of the cookie. Right, so here is our first tray with the candies on them. So we're gonna let those cool just a minute before we take them off of the tray and onto the cooling racks. So we've got those on the cooling racks. So now we can start scooping up our next set, roll them in the powdered sugar, and getting them on our pans. And if your dough starts sticking, then you probably need to put it back in the fridge for a little bit. I usually put it back in the fridge between batches, but I forgot. It is starting to get a little sticky. So once I get these 2 trays full, then I'll probably stick it back in the refrigerator until I'm ready to roll out the next batch. Okay, so I just finished rolling out the last of my dough, and I did get 8 dozen cookies plus 3 more. So I'm just going to throw my last 3 candies in here so that everything's ready. And then I'm going to start moving cookies, the cooled cookies, off of my cooling trays onto a sheet of foil that I have on my counter so that I've got plenty of room for the other cookies. So the hard thing about these cookies is because you've got the candy on there, they don't stack very well. So you've got to just kind of lay them out side by side on something. Once the candies are completely cooled and hardened again, then we can stack them up a little bit so that I can package them in something to keep them until I'm ready to start sorting into the individual cookie trays. So we should have 27 candies left because that's how many cookies we have. So I'm just gonna do a quick count here. All right, I have 27, so I'll be good when all these cookies come out of the oven. Okay, so that is those cookies. They're all done. I'm just gonna let them finish cooling, let the candy harden back up before I package them to store them until I'm ready to sort them into individual trays. But I am going to eat one. These are so good. So the next thing that we are going to make today are some fudge tarts. And to make those, we're just going to use store-bought rolls of peanut butter cookie dough. You could make your own peanut butter cookie dough if you'd like. I always just buy the rolls. We're going to use this mini tart pan or cupcake pan, whatever you want to call this, I'm not even sure. And we want to spray each of these little cavities with some vegetable spray. We want to make sure these don't stick. They sometimes can be a little difficult to get out of the pan. Whoops, I'm going to open this up and just peel all of this plastic wrap off. So you've just got the whole log, or whatever you want to call it, of cookie dough. we're just going to cut this into pieces. And you want to cut, it doesn't want to stop rolling, you want to cut about a 1/2 inch or so thick. And I'm going to cut this just in half. Roll it into kind of a little disc and stick it in your little cupcake cavity there. You could roll it into a ball or whatever. Either way, it's going to cook down fine. And I usually like to buy the bigger size packages of the cookie dough, but I could not find any. In fact, I struggled just to find any peanut butter cookie dough that wasn't in one of the place and bake packages. I guess those would have worked if all else failed, but it would have been very expensive that way. These are actually one of my husband's favorite little cookie items that I make during the holidays. So I always make sure to make these because he really likes them. One of our daughters really likes them. So I always like to make things that I know people really enjoy. So that's why I end up making so many things, because everybody has their own favorite and I want to make sure that I accommodate that, at least for our kids. And I bought 3 rolls of dough for this recipe. I don't know what I'm going to need, because I usually make 4 trays. So we'll see how far these go. So it looks like each one is going to make 1 full tray plus 6 more cookies. So we won't end up with 4, but that's okay. We'll get however many we get, and that will be fine. I don't think I quite cut this one. Nope, I didn't cut this one thick enough. So I'm going to cut this next one a little bit thicker, and then I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces so that I can make sure that all of the cavities are as full as they need to be. Okay, so my oven is still preheated to 350. I'm going to put these in and we're going to bake them for 9 minutes. After 9 minutes, or when the edges are brown, we're going to take our little tart shaper and I'm going to press an indentation in each one of these, and then I'm going to put them back in the oven for about 2 more minutes so that it holds that shape. And I'm just going to take this piece of dough that I have left, stick it in a plastic bag, and stick it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to do the next batch. Okay, so our timer just went off on our little peanut butter tarts. So I've got my little tart shaper here, and I'm going to pull this out and just push gently in the middle of the cookie. And it makes a little indentation. Do the same with the other tray. Try not to burn my legs. So I'm just pushing gently in each one of those. I'm going to slide them back in. And whoa, we're going to set the timer for 2 more minutes. And after that, we'll pull them out of the oven, and the indentation in the tart should be set so that it will stay. Okay, so here are my 2 trays of tarts. We're going to set them on a cooling rack, and we're going to let them cool, sitting on the cooling rack for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we're going to take the little tarts out of our tart pan and put them on another cooling rack to finish cooling completely. And then when we do that, we can start our next batch of cookie dough. Okay, so I'm going to start taking these out of the little tart pan. Oops, I'm putting them on this cooling rack. And if you're lucky, they pull out just perfectly. Sometimes I have them perfect like these seem to be doing, and sometimes they tear. If they tear, we just eat them and then it's still not a loss. But maybe I wasn't waiting, and maybe I wasn't letting them cool long enough before. These seem to be coming out pretty well. I don't want to jinx myself, but so far so good. So I'm going to finish pulling all of these out and set them over here to finish cooling. And then I'm going to get the rest of my peanut butter cookie dough and fill these trays up again, or as much as I can with the rest of my dough. That is the first time that's ever happened. I got all of them out without tearing any of them. Okay, so I've got all of my little tarts out of the pan. I managed to get them all out without tearing any. I struggled a little bit with one, but I got it out of there. So now I am going to make up the fudge filling that we're going to put in it. So we're going to use 2 cups of chocolate chips. And 1 cup of sweetened condensed milk. And each can is about 1 1/4 cups. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and use all of it. Okay, so now you want to melt this in the microwave until you can stir the chocolate and the milk together. So I've got this all melted, and now I'm going to take this big decorator bag, and I've got a closed star tip. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm just going to pour my fudge filling into this decorator bag, and then we're going to use that to fill all of these tarts. Whoa! Now we're just going to generously fill these tarts. All right, so there's one tray. Squeeze the chocolate down a little farther. And I think I'm going to run out of filling before I get all the tarts done. I am. Alright, so I'm just going to make another batch of, or a half batch, I guess, of the fudge filling. Whoops. Alright, so we'll dump the rest of this, whoops, that I just made in this bag. And usually I have too much filling for my tarts, but maybe that, yummy. Maybe that's because I usually tear some of them up and I don't have as many as I'm supposed to. All right, let's finish filling these up. So I have a little bit extra now. I'm going to go back and and add a little more to the ones I kind of skimped on trying to make it work. All right, so we ended up with about 8 dozen of our brownie cookies and about 8 dozen of our little peanut butter fudge tarts. So I've got the brownie cookies in this pan. I'm gonna wrap them with foil, and I'm gonna wait until the filling is cool and set in these tarts, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put those in this pan and wrap them up, and then everything will be ready when I am ready to sort them out for all of the different trays. All right, so that's gonna do it today. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please hit like, and I will see you on the next video when we do some more holiday baking. Thanks guys, bye-bye.